definitely. He called me a legend, but this is the legend. Entrepreneur, author, philanthropist, world domination, Mr. Avante Showers, and we are going to conduct the interview today, man. How you doing, bro? How you feeling, man?
I'm good, man.
Good.
Besides, as you age, these knees
Oh
get
yeah,
bad.
trust me, I understand.
Things go to changing. You have a kid. But
Right.
man, I'm focused, and I'm thankful to be here with One Purpose, One Sound,
Right.
to be able to serve them, and I'm thankful for what God is doing in my life, but I'm thankful for the things that He's allowing me to steward
Right.
in this season. So, man, thank you for allowing me to be here.
Oh
Little old me.
man,
I'm learning.
yeah, me too. We in the same boat. We in the same boat. Well, I guess, man, we could honestly jump right into it. We got the new book coming out Easter Sunday. Let's get into that. Tell me about the book. I want to know what. Give me everything. Don't hold nothing back. I need to know because personally, I'm an entrepreneur myself, still learning, still navigating. So I know you got some things about entrepreneurs that can help. So man, just let me have it, man.
Well, the book is entitled "The Battle of Success," and what I do is I take people on the journey of I take them on a success journey. Like, this is what it's going to be like when you get success, and I think that I lead with having a hard conversation with entrepreneurs that our version of success versus what success really is sometimes is based upon the vantage point of
Right.
where you're viewing it at. And I believe that there's an old saying that says this, that you could spend your life climbing to the top of a ladder to get to the top and find out you're leaning on the wrong wall. And my goal is to be
I
able to
like that.
navigate people out of that system and that mindset to understand that success is not about finances. Success is not even sometime about the areas that you're winning. But I want to take them through the battles of when you have areas in your life that are successful. How do I manage my character?
Right.
And I'm not talking about how you manage your morals, but I'm talking about your character.
Right.
Because some people believe that when you look at your moral behavior, that I'm honest, I'm a good person, and you think that that's what I'm speaking of when I talk about character. But it takes a different type of character to be successful, because character traits you'll need is focus. You need a certain level of discipline, and so those are character traits. And sometimes that doesn't mean that you're being morally correct. What it does mean is that my character have to manage the level of success that I'm climbing to. And the goal of the book is to stand from a perspective, and I'm speaking from a coach, but rather a big brother standpoint of, we want to manage this success, we want to manage it well. And I try to pour into people a point of transformation without creating an atmosphere of codependency.
Right.
And I think that that must happen in order for people to be successful.
Okay, I like that. I like that. So tell me this: when you say you wanna, I guess in so many words, be more so independent versus codependent, how would a person like myself, like for me, I have my hand in many different things, and I struggle right now. I'm in a position whereas I feel like, how do I balance it all? And I'm also looking at, okay, like truthfully, I feel like we're in Baton Rouge. I feel like I've reached my ceiling in Baton Rouge, but now it's like, okay, how do I navigate to the next step with balancing children, the other things you're good at? Because like I could focus on the nightlife industry, I could focus on public health, I could focus on hosting, but everything's coming to me at once. I guess how could I develop? How do I go about developing a team? Because I go through these phases where it's like you think you found the right person that can help, and then they need your help more than you need theirs.
Yeah.
So now in return you're helping them. It's like, okay, well I still need to pour into myself. So it's kind of like you and I guess I'm speaking from the entrepreneur standpoint of, well man, I need to pour into myself, but I still need a team.
Yeah.
But I have to still be independent, but I still need help. You see what I'm saying? So I know it's kind of a tricky question, but it's like it's just a realistic state. I feel like where I currently am. Like, but what stood out to me is that you're trying to reach that level of independence without being codependent. So
Yeah.
I guess speak to that for me, because you're helping me right now.
You said you feel like you hit a ceiling. I write in the dedication of this book, and I write a letter to my daughter, and I tell her this, that once you hit the glass ceiling, it's time to build a bigger building.
Right.
which means that your ceiling is actually the floor is not really your ceiling. You just have not tapped into the gifts and the talents that's on the inside of you to be able to expand larger than where you are. And that actually takes a team. One of the coaches in my life, and I'll name him because he has spoken my life, coached my life, helped my
Right.
life, shift my life. He has made me a better man as a whole. And he always say this that men are made, they're not born. And one of his most famous quotes is this: that you don't go as far as your dream, you only go as far as your team. And it comes from a biblical principle that the Bible talks about. It says, "Write the vision, make it plain, so they may run." That's the
Hmm.
pronoun they. The vision is written by you as the leader, the CEO, the entrepreneur. You have a vision, a God given ideas, which means that if you have an idea is simply a divine download from God to
Right.
give you something that He wants you to have. So He gives you an idea or a picture of a preferred future for you to be able to tap into something that He's pushing you to. So you have an idea, and it's your job to write the idea with clarity. And when you have that point of clarity, you write it. But the key thing is you have to find the they. I think sometimes as entrepreneurs, we spend so much time running that we forget that we need a certain level of focus and discipline
Right.
by finding the right team that that I can give them strategy and put them in an atmosphere where they can thrive in to fulfill the need to be able to make the entire vision a success.
Correct.
And so you have to assess what that they look like. And you got to hire that they according to what's the needs of the company in order
Right.
for
Right.
it to be
Right.
successful because they're carrying the weight, right? So it's my job to keep writing. It's
Hmm.
my job to keep giving strategy. And sometimes as a leader, I think that we forget that we're not just the CEO, we are the CRO, which stands for the Chief Reminding Officer.
Right.
So
Right.
we're
Right.
constantly reminding people of things that they need
Right.
to do or what we need them to fulfill. And I think that that type of culture code that you create with those people actually help carry the vision out. And so one of the things that I have amongst my team is I believe that I want to staff hungry people. So in our interviewing process, I'm going to ask you, where are your desires? What is your heart for? Because I don't want people to be on my team who I only get compliance from. Because what
Right.
happens is they bring their gifts to work without bringing their hearts to work. And I need their heart so that I could get buy in, so that they will actually come early and stay late because they have a heart
Right.
for
They
what they're
invested.
doing. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that buy-in actually helps serve the company to be able to take you and help you scale to that 6 7 figures in resources, and be able to push that company to the next level. You're talking to someone who actually owns 6 different entities. So there's a team on each
Right. On each.
side
Yeah.
that is running these different entities. And I mean, the way my companies are, I span from owning a staffing agency to a marketing firm to a construction company
Right.
and
Yeah.
some
It
other
varies.
stuff in between. So those teams are totally different, and how they lead, how I serve them. I only thing I make sure that stays with my team is we have a culture code. This is the way we do it. We're hungry, we're hopeful, we're helpful. We're getting the job done, but we create a culture code that is passed throughout the entire organization so that we're speaking the same language. And I believe in that same language being spoken.
Right.
The Bible says this: they were building the Tower of Babel. He said, as long as they were speaking the same language, there was nothing that was impossible for them. And I think that in our organizations, we forget to make our teams and our leaders speak the same language as us, because that's why our dreams seem like it have limitations. It really wouldn't have limitations if we get everybody to speak the same language.
Correct. I like that. I like that. I got another question. How much of your faith is invested into your businesses? If that makes sense.
A ton of my faith is invested in my business because the biggest business plan happened in the Bible.
Okay.
Think about this. The Bible has been the best-selling book for almost 100 years. Has been the number one best-selling book in all of the world for almost 100 years
Right.
without one bit of marketing. Have you ever saw them market a Bible?
Never.
You never saw them advertise selling the Bible, but it's actually such a big program
That's
that
interesting.
Jesus' strategy is bigger than Verizon, AT&T,
Right, right.
some of your Fortune 500 companies. And I think that if you take biblical principles and apply it within your companies, you'll create a strategy that not only gets you moving, but it gets God moving.
Okay.
And when God hand is on it, nothing can stop
Anything is
it. So
possible.
I always want to keep God involved. And I'll tell anybody this: God did not give me a vision of being a pastor and being an entrepreneur. That was
Right.
not the thing. He didn't.
Sometimes it's unheard
Yeah, he didn't
of.
tell me to plant a church and to start a business. What God did was he gave me a vision for my life that was so big, I needed companies and churches to be able to carry it out.
Okay, that makes sense. I like that.
And I think that that's a thing that speaks to you stepping into a place of purpose,
Right.
but and being in a place where you're clear and having clarity where you're
Clarity.
going versus you're just doing something to do it. And
Right.
as leaders, we don't do just to do. We do it with a point of clarity to be able to get to an expected end.
Right, right, right. So the biggest things right now I'm taking for this to tie it back into the book. We have faith, discipline, clarification. That's a big thing that stands out to me. Clarification, because I feel like along this entrepreneurship journey is so much different things that transpire. Like most recently, after Christmas, I deleted the Instagram app. It's like, well, how my barber said, how could you delete the Instagram app? You're a promoter. You do this. You do that. I said, realistically, I probably post one time an event I have, and everything else is like a conversation like this, a flyer in your hand, or something of that nature. But I also realized too, a lot of my thoughts aren't clear as of late because I get on Instagram and there's so much I see. Oh, this guy's in New York and doing this, or I could do this, or so it's like. Then I sit with myself and I say, okay, well, Isaiah, you're not disciplined. Zay, you need to find some type of structure, a level of discipline. I say, you know what? I'm gonna try to find my way to church. My cousin owns a church, pastor of a church. I've been going there, taking notes, learning different things, but I'm still trying to align myself with everything, then balance, kids. Okay, what am I good at? Is this really my purpose? But I just keep running into the same, like, maybe my focus is still off. So, when did you realize that faith and when did you realize faith and business could align together for you? At what point? And everybody's, I guess, realization into things are different. But when did it, I guess, click for you or trigger for you, if that makes sense?
That faith and business can
Right.
align. The Bible says this. The Bible says, "Be a man in business." It
Okay.
says that with clarity. It tells you,
Right.
"Be a man in business." And every person that Jesus chose around him was an entrepreneur. When he found the 12 disciples,
Mm-hmm.
they were out on their own boat
Right.
fishing. They had a fishing company.
Right.
We gonna bring it in. They had a
Yeah,
fishing
yeah,
company,
yeah.
and they were selling their fish to be able to make money for their family.
Right.
That's what they were doing. That's what happened when Jesus found them. So even when the disciples stopped fishing, they found Jesus. They never sold their boat. If you
Okay.
look at the Bible, there's no record of them getting rid of their business.
Right.
Even some of the disciples, they said, "Oh, that dude work at a tax firm. He's a CPA. He's a tax collector."
Right, right,
Like he
right.
still had his business. They identified them by their work. Jesus was a carpenter. He had a construction company, basically.
Come on.
Let's be
Let's be
real.
honest.
Yeah, like
Let's be
so.
transparent
I
about it.
think that sometimes we get so caught up in looking for success and feeling like because the scripture says that it's better for it's harder for a rich man to go through than a camel to go through an eye of a needle. It's better for a rich man to make it in heaven than a camel to fit through an eye of a needle. I think that we misinterpret that because the scripture says this. The scripture says, "The poor be among you always." So there will be people who do not have financial resources.
Right.
We understand that. But he's got to bless somebody to be able to help. I created the thought in my mind that God, I don't want to just pray about everything. I want you to make me an answer to someone's prayer. The point of starting a company is to solve a problem. God, allow me to be the answer to
Right.
someone's prayer. And every company I started helps people and it answers a prayer that they may have. The
Correct.
staffing company, people who don't have staff, they need them, they're praying for them. I provide that resources and I give it to them. A construction company, people want to build their dream home, they have a dream, an idea that came from God, and they want to see it come to realization. God uses my construction company to be able to fulfill that need.
Right.
The marketing company, people need endorsement deals, they want to be in movies, they want management, they need to be able to feel out how they're going to balance their life. My company serves those needs of those people to solve a
Right. Right.
problem
Right.
that they have, and so I become an answer to someone else's prayer. And that's really what entrepreneurship is. Entrepreneurs solve problems that other people have that they do not have the wherewithal to be able to solve themselves.
Correct. Correct. So let's touch base on discipline. What, in your opinion, what is discipline to you? What does discipline mean to you? When you hear the word discipline, what does it mean to you?
So in every area of life, discipline is going to look different. And so my definition of discipline is when you create a level of focus beyond your human capacity that gives you strategy to stay in divine alignment of walking into purpose. That's what I would say it is. It means that I got so much focus on me that I will deny certain things in my life to be able to focus on the purpose and the plan that God has for my life.
Right. Okay. And me being an entrepreneur, as I just told you, just struggling with different, trying to navigate to what avenue. And like I said, you know a lot of the things I do. What do you, in your opinion, what would be the best route I could take right now? Because I'm still in a level of uncertainty of where, when, how, and why. What would be your advice to me or any young entrepreneur dealing with
Bet on yourself.
this?
I would tell any entrepreneur if I'm gonna bet anybody, I'm gonna bet on myself. And this says if you really believe in you, your actions that you take when it looks impossible says what you believe about you, and it says what you believe about God. You got to think about it. God told Noah to build an ark when it wasn't raining,
Correct.
so it was a belief system. It was an attitude that he had to have that I'm gonna do it even when nothing else is happening. So your faith or your actions that you perform is what you actually believe about you, but it also speaks to what you believe about God.
Interesting.
Because if I really believe it's gonna rain, I really gonna trust God. I'll build an ark when no rain is coming, when I
Right.
don't see a cloud in the sky. And I think that sometimes we focus on revenue so much that we forget to build it big. I'm big about I'm gonna build it big until it feels like it's impossible to manage.
Right.
So I'm gonna build it so big that you can't tell me that it can't make $100 million.
Right.
So because I'm gonna have the capacity to receive it. And that is big, and that was a key word. Having the capacity and knowing what your capacity is speaks to how clear you are about where you want to go. Right.
Right.
So some people start business and say, "This is my revenue goal to get to 7, 8 figures." Right. That is simply a revenue goal. What infrastructure do I need to be able to manage 7 to 8 figures? And
Right.
so I have to build my companies or build my business to a place that it can manage that type of revenue and that
Understand.
volume. And in order to do that, it takes a team that is used to managing that type of system.
Interesting. Have you ever had a component on your team that you thought may have fit at the time but didn't fit?
Absolutely. But this is culture code, right?
Hmm.
I always tell people enjoy your seat on the bus, but don't get married to it because you never know when it's going to change.
Okay. I like these quotes. They coming, man. They coming.
Yeah,
I like
because
that.
I think people get married to a seat and they think this is what I'm always going to be doing,
Right.
and not realizing that there's more in them. And my job as a leader is to help them discover what's on the inside of them to be able to pull it out, right? So they already got 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread on the inside of them. It's my
Yeah.
job to get it out of them so that they can give it to somebody else.
That's awesome, man. There's so many gems. It's just it's a great conversation, man.
Yeah.
I'm trying to.
So your movement of your company and the idea of how you see it, you have to look at your company as a vehicle to be able to help shift people's lives.
Right.
And you got to determine what type of vehicle you're going to use in a particular season to be able to get your business where it needs to be there. So you got to discover, is my company going to move by plane, train, or car?
Right.
Right? So if it's gonna move by train, that means it's gonna have a bunch of stops and it's gonna take me a long time. If it's gonna move by plane, I gotta get there fast. So
Yeah,
I
you got to
need it
get
to
there.
land. If it's gonna move by car, it's gonna take some time because sometimes I gotta refuel. Sometimes I gotta change passengers. Sometimes I gotta fix a flat tire. And
Correct.
that happens within the company, and you have to determine in this season which vehicle are you gonna use so able to get your company to the level that it needs to go, right? But
Right.
if it goes by plane, you gotta remember that there's always come turbulence. And what happens with turbulence is this: it's just that the carbon pressure on the exterior have to be conducive with the cabin pressure on the interior
Hmm.
of the plane. Otherwise, people inside the plane will form something called hypophilia, which means that they will either go blind or they'll suffocate. And this is what's
Yeah.
happening in yourself, that people are on your plane and they're in there. They're either blind because they don't have the vision that you have, or they're suffocating because what's around them is overwhelming them.
Right. Right.
And I
Right.
think that that's happened in our companies all the time, and we don't see it that way. But we have to discover in this season, what vehicle am I going to use to move
Correct.
my company to the next level?
Correct. How much, with you saying that, it brought a question to my mind. How much of your how personal do you get with your business? So, for example, like just say we may do something together. I could be having a bad week, bad time. Business wise, you want to be great, but personally, it's like, man, it's Zay. I'm trying to make it work, but at a certain point in time, you might have a Zay along the way where it's like, all right, it's just not working. But your heart is like, man, I want to really help this person out. And sometimes do you turn down business? Do you have to? How do you let them down? What do you do as a leader? I feel like you have to be, in my opinion, you have to be stern and firm, but you still have to have a level of understanding because everyone is humans. So like, and I mean to be long winded. Like I tell everyone that I do business with that I do pay or employ. You don't work for me. You work with me because I'm young. So some of my security guards may be 40, 50. Some of the bartenders may be this age. So it's like people still have problems.
Yeah.
So you gotta still be understanding, but at a certain point in time, where do you say, okay, I can't deal with your problem any longer because it's not helping fix, it's creating a bigger problem for what I have going on. How do you navigate that?
Emotional intelligence. So, as a leader, it's your job to know the capacity of each individual that is around you
Mm-hmm.
and to be able to help manage those individuals. So, my thing is, I believe in motivating people, but I also believe in pushing people. So, I'm going
Yeah.
to motivate you, but I'm also going to push you because I realize there's destiny on the inside of you.
Mm-hmm.
So if I see someone on my team is down or they frustrated or they're going through a hard season, I don't throw them away, but I do help manage that emotion and help them change their attitude.
That
God did the
perspective is
same
good.
thing in the Bible. If you look in the book of Judges, you find a guy by the name of Gideon.
Mm-hmm.
Gideon goes hide. They had a group of people called the Midianites that were coming to meet them during their harvest season to
Right.
take all their harvest. So they would impoverish them after
Yeah.
they done worked all year. Gideon went and hid in the wine press, was hiding grain in the wine
Mm-hmm.
press, and the angel of the Lord come to him and says, Gideon, what are you hiding for, you mighty man of valor? Now, Gideon is in here acting like a coward. His behavior says he's scared. It
Right.
doesn't say he's mighty. But God saw enough in him to speak life and says, you're a mighty man of valor. This is Gideon's behavior. This is Gideon's experience with God. Gideon start having a conversation with God and says this, but I'm the weakest in my clan. I'm the least of my family.
Right.
Gideon, who told you that? And I think that's what's on our team sometimes. Somebody have spoken negativity in them, and even when they're doing good, they feel weak. And
Right.
your job as the leader is to find out what areas do they feel weak and help push them and give them strength in that area to be able to help unlock the idea and the creativity on the inside of them so that you can get the best out of them.
Okay. And the book speaks to the magnitude of that as well.
Absolutely. The book speaks so much to the magnitude. Most people don't know this. I'll talk about it a little bit. Back December 16, 2004, I had two strokes.
Mm-hmm.
I know I don't look like I did, but
Yeah, you caught me off guard when you told me on the phone when we was
I
talking that day. I said, man, what?
I had two strokes because I was so invested in the nitty gritty of my. We had so much going on. I had contracts going on with Ford Motor
Hmm.
Company, and we were working on the MD Anderson project at the same time. I'm trying to launch and start another nonprofit at the same time. I'm ministering the gospel, so I'm traveling and preaching. I was doing almost 200,000 sky miles a year. I'm traveling with the artists, bouncing here, there. Like I
Right.
am running crazy and then trying to manage my finances, manage my home, be an amazing father. I
Right.
launched a book. I released the book, The Sound of Leadership. I wrote the book. Literally, most people were like, man, you had to do that with AI. I did not. There's a level of focus that I locked in my house for 5 days straight, wrote the entire book, got it to an editor, got it to a formatter, and said, we got to get this out. I wrote the book the first week of December. The second week of December, I had a stroke.
Come on.
The next week, we were releasing the book.
Right.
Like crazy, crazy. I had so much going on in my life, but I was overwhelmed. But that wasn't a good thing. I did not manage my schedule well as an entrepreneur. So I had poor time management because I was trying to be a superhero. I was
Yeah.
trying to be everything to everybody. And instead of really pouring into people and managing a team, I felt like I had to have my hands in it. Real leaders do not try to put their hands in every cookie jar.
Another
Real
gem. Another
real
gem.
leaders manage the jar to make sure that the glass don't break.
Say that one more time. Say that. I like that. I like that. You gotta say that one. I like that. I like
Yeah,
that.
that real leaders don't put their hand in every cookie jar, but they manage the glass of the jar to make sure it doesn't break.
I like that. That's a good one. That's a real good one right there. That's an Instagram quote.
Yeah.
That's a caption right there.
Yeah.
That's definitely a
So
caption.
so I had to take a step back and then reassess my life, reassess what the companies were doing, and then take a step out and find out where I really need to be
You gotta stop the bleeding.
and make all of these systems work and really implement systems that are effective, that work at this level, and do that without becoming comfortable because complacency will interrupt your success.
Right.
And some people have feel like they found success, and so then when they find success in one area, they become comfortable in others,
Right. Right. Right.
but that creates stagnation, and the worst thing you could do as an entrepreneur is become stagnant and build up these barricades, because what you'll do is you'll start building something out of love, and you'll build something that you hate.
Do you ever do you ever find yourself in the way of your own business or visions? Like you just being in the way?
Sometimes I do because my hand was in everything.
Right.
So when I took my hands off, I saw that people could actually do their job without my micromanagement.
That's hard.
uh,
And I guess in the same sense, I look
it's
at it
trust.
because it's like, yeah, you gotta have trust. You gotta have that trust, man. It's just like I don't know how are you able to. That's a lot of people you gotta trust. If you got multiple businesses with
A
multiple
lot.
layers, you have to really have a level of trust. And I'm struggling with it. I don't know how. I'm still struggling with it because you find it could be a graphic designer find them, then they go missing. It's like, man, then you
And you on the timeline.
on the timeline. Then it's like, man, I'm me personally, like, just with I'm understanding. Man, if something going on, let me know. Hey, what's going on? Then it get to a point where it's like, all right, now I'm putting myself behind. And if you have clients, like I work with a few people that get their designs and stuff through me. So hey, now my client's upset with me. I can't offer them any more than you can, and you can offer me. It's just that trust, man. I don't know how you do it. I'm still learning. I'm gonna get there one day. I'm gonna speak it positively. I'm gonna get
So
there, but
so I have a creative director on my team.
mm-hmm.
I have a creative director, and I have an event planner on my team. My event planner, you met.
Right, yeah,
Yeah, you
yeah.
met. So I have a crazy birthday party every year, and it takes a lot of intel,
Village, yeah.
design, insight to be able to make it happen. My creative director is slowful. They gonna get it done,
Right.
but they gonna get it done on their time, and sometimes not bad. And so I
Yeah.
am like listen, I needed it done last week,
Right.
you know,
Deadlines,
and you're like,
deadlines,
they're
deadlines.
like, I'm gonna get it done on the day of the deadline.
Right.
And that right there, when I know you got the capacity to do it, it sometimes frustrates me, but I realize that they're really good at what they do. And sometimes their ability to be successful only happens when they're under pressure.
Right. I
And
never
so
looked at it like that.
emotional
I never
intelligence
looked at it
for
like
them,
that.
they need the pressure to be successful.
Right.
And that, I don't know if that's healthy all the time, but
Correct.
sometimes it is. And I have an amazing event planner. She always
Yeah, she's
kills it.
great.
She's, she's on top of it. And so she's frustrated too, because she's like, if
Right.
they don't get me what I need. But it is great to know that our team work together, and seeing them work together to make a vision come to life is
Right.
always phenomenal. And then like adding people to our team, like adding a publicist now and some other things that are needed at the next level in order to be successful, has been a journey. And then getting them acclimated with the team and how we function and what our
Right.
system look like and how we report, and don't run to Advante for everything, because there are
Yeah.
people on the team that can solve the problem.
Right, right, right.
So it becomes a thing, and that's a part of the battle of success, that managing those things and not creating an atmosphere of comfort, but creating an atmosphere of clarity.
And where can we get this? But I know it's Easter Sunday. Why Easter Sunday?
Man, listen, I have been working on this book for over a year,
Hmm.
and it has been tough. I've actually had three different graphic designers before I've decided on which cover.
Right.
I had a cover made before the manuscript was done.
Come on, man.
And then I had two other graphic designers make two different covers before I decided on one. I was going through it because I really, when I wrote this, I wanted people to hear my heart. And I wanted them to know that I want to pour into you because I believe that you're going to go to the next level. And every level requires a different level of focus and a different version of you that you don't know you need. And that's why I encourage people that, hey, at every level, you need mentors, you need coaches, you need people who will help pour into you. Like I have an actual thinking coach
Hmm.
that helps me manage my ideas. So I spend an hour on
Yeah.
the phone to talk to someone, to talk about just my thoughts and my ideas, so that I can compartmentalize them, so that I'm making sure that I'm serving my team the best. And so I
Right.
bet on me. I pour into me. I do self development, self awareness. I'm constantly in class. I have a budget that I do that's strictly an investment into myself, and it ain't for clothes. It's
Right.
for wisdom, it's for knowledge, it's for time management that we do to be able to make sure that we have the right skills to be successful as a leader.
And I like that you said that because a lot of people misinterpret self investment and self care and self love. I feel like I don't want to say it's contingent. I just feel like when you hear that, oh, you got to self love, the average person. I need some retail therapy, or I'm going to Seven Brew, things like that. So I'm glad you did speak on that because I feel like, I feel like it's been like that in the past, but especially in today's society, people don't realize how much self investment you need to apply to yourself, whether it's just time to breathe or get your thoughts together. Because everything as an entrepreneur, anybody you could not be an entrepreneur and be a plant engineer and still have 1,000 thoughts a day, kids, soccer practice, 7-on-7, wife. I'm glad you say that because it's very important to take the time to pour into yourself. And I'm a firm believer. My dad, he always would tell me, uh education, get paperwork, they can't take it from you. And me, I told one of my good friends then, we do business together. He has his clothing brand, Joe Weekend. I told him, man, from my point of view, growing up, I seen my dad work, plant, day in, day out. He couldn't teach me about credit. He couldn't teach me, certain things like that. But it's the truth because he didn't grow up like that. All I remember from him is save your money. You get what you want. Go to school. Get paperwork. Now, the society we're in, you got kids streaming making millions of dollars.
Yeah.
So and nothing against schooling or education, nothing like that. But now it's like I was telling Scott, I'm like, man, it's so much more I'm able to teach my son on top of the work ethic that my dad instilled in me. But it's still a lot of things that I had to learn along the way because I overwhelmed myself. Just truthfully, like when you got to make things happen, and then when you're like, okay, you offer your resource and help to other people, it's like how do you develop that? When is enough enough? In so many words, when is it okay? When can I take a break and pour into myself? Or how do I manage enough time to even pour into myself outside of shopping? Because you always need something, regardless. You all need something.
Well, so lots of times, this is well, I'm gonna answer it a different way.
Right,
Let's say it this way: ignorance is expensive, and the price you pay, you'll never know.
right, right, right.
And I believe because whatever area you're ignorant in, you suffer in.
Mm-hmm.
So lots of people don't know money management and they've never been taught because they may have come from a family that did not talk about money management, investing, real estate,
Right.
leveraging assets, insurance, lines of credits, IULs, things like
Correct.
that you learn in a different space sometime. And so surrounding yourself with the right people actually helps because you have people who will pour into you and speak you into the next level. I believe that my circle of friends, they actually help pour and give me idea and strategy to make sure that I'm not being wasteful with my resources.
Right.
I'm thinking about the next generation. I'm thinking about what my daughter's success is going to look like.
Mm-hmm.
Should I have a trust? Should I set up a shell company? Things like that to be able to help manage her inheritance.
Right.
I had a conversation that this was a couple years ago that I had to learn that I had my daughter as the beneficiary on the insurance policy. I'm not saying that that's wrong, but my daughter is 5. So if something happened to me today, Louisiana maximum on the insurance policy, even though the policy was a significant amount, my daughter would only got $15,000 of it because she was a minor. And I've been paying for a large
Right.
policy. So not knowing that if I just set up a company or set up a trust
Yeah.
and use the trust as the beneficiary, the trust to get it all, and then I align it with the will to be able to make sure that my daughter get
Right.
the full amount. Like those are things that being in the right friend groups help. So the
Correct.
people that you are around will help empower who you are. So I'm not saying people shouldn't shop or there shouldn't be retail,
Yeah.
what you call retail therapy, but I am saying that the money that you're wasting making someone else rich is the money that you could be pouring into yourself
Right.
to
Right.
help
Right.
ensure your success. Right. So I want to be self disciplined enough not to be so wasteful with my resources to put it um, on Gucci or Louis,
Yeah.
but use my resources to invest because my future is dependent on what it looks like. This is about building legacy. It have to be bigger than me. And
Right.
whatever I build, I want it bigger
Needs to
than
be.
me.
Yeah.
And so I think that when you change your mindset, the Bible says, in all you're getting, get an understanding because wisdom is the principal thing. And
Right.
so having wisdom in those areas is good. So when you invest in yourself, you're making a conscious choice to say that I am enough to and I am worth being invested in because I'm creating value in me so I could be valuable to others. Right? Your
Right.
your compensation is people appreciation for the value you add to their life. And when you add value, people pay you accordingly.
Exactly. I like that. I like that. And my last question, which I really feel like I think would be best. I think a lot of people I speak to in the entrepreneur world that are in my age group and demographic, they don't realize the importance of relationships. And I feel like um, I was able at a young age to meet certain, like you say, people see certain things in you that you don't see. So I always was able to meet, communicate, and just know certain people. To whereas now I look at my phone like, oh, I could call this guy. Or, hey, he had this. How important could you tell our viewers, watchers, and listeners how important relationships are, regardless in the and really in the entrepreneurship or in business in general, but just because I don't think people really realize it. So that is I think my last and final question. How important are relationships?
Did you watch the State of the Union address last night? No, I'm not gonna go there yet. I ain't gonna go there. But relationships, like being relational intelligent and having the right relationships, are extremely valuable because relationships actually can do more than your financial equity.
Right.
Because some things that you receive is sometimes about relationships. Like some things that I'm able to do at the bank, it has nothing to do with the
Right.
capacity of money in the bank or my credit. It has everything to do with the relationship that I built with the bank over the time, and those friend relationships actually help move you to the next level. And sometimes I think that we try to manage relationships on the level we are versus the level where we're going. And in order to get to the next level, sometimes it takes a certain level of relational equity of someone being able to walk you into the room. And I've learned this kind of the hard way that the right person can walk the wrong person can walk you in the right room and cost you an opportunity. And so and I think that so many times that we spend time going after the big name thinking that that's going to build the relationship, not knowing that just the right introduction can shift what that relationship can do. So knowing who's walking me in the room and the equity that they have poured into
Right.
someone matters, right? So, for example, if someone tells you, "Hey, Advante asked me to call you because you could do this," you may listen a little bit more because
Right. Correct.
they leverage my name, right? And that is what is called borrowed influence,
Hmm.
right? They borrow the influence, and when they utilize that influence, either you're going to diminish it or you're going to expand
Right.
it. And
Of course,
knowing
they
what that
mention your
looks like.
name. I'm definitely gonna. I'm gonna listen to it, but I'm definitely gonna give you a call after. But no, I
Yeah.
understand it completely. Though I understand that.
So learning how to leverage those relationships to create resources and value in your life matters. So I have relationships at every level, and I utilize them accordingly. And I realize that some people at this level cannot be introduced at the next level
Right.
because their character may can't maintain what happens at that next level, and it's a different ball
Man,
game.
I could. I don't. I can't end it a better way myself, man. One more time. Let us hear the book title. Where can we follow you at? The release date. Where can we buy the book at? The whole nine, man. Let us have it one more time.
Listen, I need you guys to go pre-order the book. We want to hit bestseller list in pre-order.
That's
So
what I'm
if
talking about.
you go to advanteshowers.org, so EDVANTESHOWERS.org. Go to advanteshowers.org and pre-order the book today. It's only $16. We'll be shipping them out. People who pre-order may get them before April 5th, but April 5th is the actual release date,
Gotcha.
and it'll be available in stores all over the country. We have a book tour already set up, so we're planning on coming to a city near you. I know DC is booked, so I can't wait to get to DC and New York,
Right.
and LA and Mobile, Alabama. You guys are already on my calendar. So wherever you're watching from, I look forward to being there. In June, I'll be in South Africa, so I can't wait to service you guys there. And I'm gonna be in Chicago this Monday, so meet me
Come
at
on.
Barnes and Noble in Chicago if you're there. I would love to shake your hand, greet you, and if you want to follow me on any platform, it's I am Advante. IAMEDVANTE. I am Advante. I love to service you, love to pour into you, and I wish above all things good success for your life. Thank you guys. Thank you, One Purpose, One Sound, radio, podcast, and TV for having us. Let's stay connected. Make sure you plug in, download the app today. One Purpose, One Sound. Look forward to seeing you.
It starts as a whisper, a thought, standing still in a quiet room. It follows you into the noise of the city, an idea that demands to be more than just a dream. You have the vision, you have the passion. But does the world have your frequency? Welcome to One Purpose, One Sound. We are the bridge between local ambition and global recognition. Radio, TV, podcast, we dominate the airwaves. Whether you're a business looking to expand or a podcaster ready to break boundaries, we don't just broadcast you to the neighborhood, we broadcast you to the world. We aren't like the others. We don't offer just average solutions. We tailor our power to fit your needs. From unique radio spots to full visual production, we strive to help local voices become national conversations. Seen, heard, remembered. Find us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Your audience is waiting. Let's make it happen. Visit onepurposeonesound.com.